Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the part of the world. Welcome to this introductory session on adapting your ICS to the new EU regulation. We are very glad that you have availed yourself to join this introductory session. We are happy to work with you, and we are happy that this session and training will go on smoothly with your support. Permits me to roll down the agenda for today. We're going to have a welcome agenda. Laura from COLEAD will be welcoming us and sharing one or two things with us. And then you're going to meet the trainers who are going to be assisting and facilitating this course. After this, we're going to have the introduction to the regulation, which is going to be done by Brian. We're going to look at the training objective, the new EU organic regulation, the overview session. And then we're going to go into a group discussion to clarify some basic questions, what topics and questions are relevant for you, which will help us, the trainers, to prepare very well for this training. We're going to also explain how the course works. And then after that, we're going to go into the training platform itself. We're going to explain how the training platform works for those who are not used to COLEAD training platform. And also because a lot of changes have happened in COLEAD training platform, which you might not be familiar with. So COLEAD is also evolving. So we're going to communicate to you and share with you everything, and also show you the assignment that you have to do in the next few weeks and submit, which is mandatory. And then we have the last technical question and closing with Laura, and we'll call it a day. So this session is going to last for 60 minutes. And why are we doing this agenda? Why are we putting up this agenda now? For all of us to know what we are in for today, and for us to be able to pay close attention. And at any point in time, if you have any question, please write your question down. And when it's time for question and answer, you raise your hand through the chat, through the raising of hand recognition gesture, and then you'll be called upon. And if by any means your computer or phone is not working well, you can signify by raising your hand manually, and then you will be called upon. Thank you for your time, and over to you, Laura. Thank you.
Thank you, Olawumi, for this introduction. Thank you already to Gerald, Titsi, Gloria, George for presenting themselves in the chat. If I may repeat what Olawumi has already said, please, for those that haven't done it yet, if you can introduce a bit yourself in the chat so we can know you a bit better. But it's also a way for us to ensure the attendance to the session. So it's important to know who's behind the Zoom here. If I may, Olawumi, I'm gonna share, I'd like to share my screen. Just to go quickly through some principle of COLEAD quality approach, because we passed our certification audit 2 weeks ago, so we are now ISO 21,000 certified, and I want to promote it a bit. But there's also some baseline here for this session that I think it's important for everyone to know, because behind this certification, what's important for us is the quality approach we have implemented to ensure the quality of our training and the satisfaction of everyone that is following these sessions. So just in case you don't know it yet, it's for over 20 years, COLEAD has been offering training to agricultural support. And so for this, we have developed all strategy that's based on our network of expert trainers, know-how, innovation, and the way to implement it. And it's a very rich system. and it's important for us to continue to improve and develop it, so it keeps fitting your needs, and it keeps achieving its goal, which is to strengthen the horticultural sector in the long term. So our quality approach is based on 3 main axes. One is offering to you trainings that fit your needs, and providing you also tools, method, knowledge that can be directly used in your day-to-day work. The second axis is work with local experts that are closer to your context, your reality, your own experience on the ground, and strengthen also their skills so they can ensure that they are always up to date with the realities and the needs of the learners. This is also why today among us we have some experts that are there also to update the knowledge about the new organic regulation. And the third axis is about the cascading and the transfer of all this knowledge, because this training doesn't stop to you, but you will also bring all these new skills within your company, and you may have also to transfer this to some of your colleagues. And it's important for us that you have what you need to do so. Sorry. If you want more details, our quality policy is available on our e-learning platform. You can review it and read it afterwards. So through this ISO certification, as I'd say, our goal is to ensure the satisfaction of the learners, but also of the other interested parties, among them you trainers, but also experts. And how we do so, it's by at the beginning of the session. So this is why this session is one of the most important, I'd say, of all the training session you're gonna get. But it's to find out what are your expectations and the needs in relation to this training, and clarify with you if these expectations are gonna be met. During the session, COLEAD and the trainer are always available. If there's anything we can improve directly, please do not wait the end of the training to mention something that you're not satisfied with, because we might be able to improve that directly. So let us know if we can do anything for you to take the most out of this training. And also at the end of the session, so we'll evaluate your satisfaction through an anonymous form on the Moodle platform. So you can also tell us at the end of the session if you were satisfied. And if all of this is not sufficient, there's always the possibility to submit a complaint to COLEAD. For us, it's important to know what we can improve, so we can continue our efforts and provide the support you need. So to achieve this goal of enhancing your professional skills, we want to create an environment that's conducive for your learning. That means there's quality expertise here today with Brian and Olawumi. But it's also this quality environment is also based on everyone's commitment. So the trainers have commit to train you, but you also need to commit to the training. So attend this session is very important for your learning process. Proceed to the activities that the trainers will give you. And maintain the good environment is also part of your job, I'd say. And last, there's the settings. I hope it's pleasant. But yeah, if we select Zoom, it's because it's one of the most pro-efficient tool for a conference. But we also try to get the Moodle environment, the COLEAD platform environment, sorry, the most suitable for you. This is why, as Olawumi mentioned, there's some changes, maybe since the last time you followed the training with us, because we keep improving our platform to make it more easy, more user-friendly for you. I've mentioned each other commitment. So here you have some key elements that the trainers are committed to. Among things, it's try to meet your expectation and your needs, ensure a supportive learning environment, encourage your collaboration, assess you fairly and equitably, listen to your concern, and of course, respect the personal, organizational, and intellectual property data. You have also all the code of conduct on our platform. And as I mentioned, there's also commitment from your side. So to attend the course, here it says sign the attendance list. We are not on a face-to-face session, so there's nothing to sign. But as mentioned, if you can also present yourself in the Zoom, this will help us to complete this attendance list. It's important to be punctual to these sessions. So we start on time, and it means also we finish on time. It's important for us that we respect that, so you can also deliver your day-to-day job properly. Have your equipment to follow the session. Respect also everything that will be shared here in terms of personal and organizational data. And I remind you also that we are with an agreement, there's an agreement between your organization and COLEAD for cost sharing, even though here the training is free. This is part of the agreement we have with your organization. Yeah, last part about your commitments, guys. As I say, we are expecting you to be committed through all the training session. So let us know if you have any obligation that takes you away from this session, so we can also see how we can support you best. But we will try to avoid that, of course. Ideally, it's for you to be here to collaborate. So I'd say avoid distraction. You are maybe on your smartphone or on your computer, so it's not easy, but try to avoid calls, emails, and stuff like that while we are on the Zoom meetings. Olawumi and Brian will tell you if there's specific rules for speaking. And do not hesitate to support, of course, the other learners if you know how you can help them. In one word, I'd say, yeah, it's quite, give the best of yourself to take the most out of this session. And do not hesitate to manifest yourself if there's anything we can do to improve this training. I've mentioned the personal data and intellectual property, so I just wanted to go quickly back on that. Know that for this session, you have sent to us some of your personal data that are stored within COLEAD's protected server and that are not communicated beyond this session. The documents and the training materials provided to you are subject to intellectual property rights, so please respect them. And during these sessions, at some point, maybe Olawumi and Brian would like to take a picture, maybe to illustrate a bit our activities. If you don't wish to have your photo taken, please let them know so we can act accordingly. I'm almost done, but just it's important you know that this program is organized as part of the Fit for Market Plus program and the Next Kenya project. So it's funded by European Union. And this is basically everything I had to say. So I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present you this. And I hope I wasn't too long, Olawumi.
I know, Laura, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for The explanation is the introductory session, and it's really necessary that all the participants understand very well what we are into for the next few weeks and how we can support them and how they can support us as COLEAD and as trainers. Thank you so much for your time. So in this respect, I would like to introduce myself and then give it to Brian, and then Brian can continue the overview of the session. So my name is Olawumi Benedict. I live and work in Ghana. I am an expert trainer with COLEAD under the organic agriculture and under sustainable management. I've been in the organic sector for 15 years working, though I'm a Nigerian by birth, but I've been in Ghana for 10 years. So I cross between Nigeria and Ghana as individual, and I work between these two countries. Throughout the session, also, I'll be more interacting with you on the WhatsApp and emails. I'm sure a lot of you will have received a lot of emails from me. Pardon me, I am that kind of person that will bombard you with a lot of emails. So and it's just for you to be able to, follow up and understand what you need to do part time and remind you, because we know that all of us are very busy. So I set this reminder so that we can deliver and we can finish the training very well. So over to you, Brian.
Thanks so much, Olawumi, and I hope everybody can hear me. It's such a pleasure to have this diverse group of participants in this training. I know we had one before, so this is the second version of it, and really excited to be with everyone. My name is Brian, as it is on the screen. I'm from and currently in Uganda, but I think through different parts of this training, I will also be operating from Kenya. So I'll always let you know where I'm sitting at the time of the training. I'm not a stranger actually to some people I see as participants, especially colleagues from Bio Uganda. Edward, I think we know each other from way back. But yes, I've been in the organic sector for quite some time, more than 15 years, first as an ICS manager, as an inspector, as an external inspector, as a researcher. So yeah, I have some bit of, and I've been to a few countries. I see participants from ZOPA in Zambia. I've been to ZOPA, I've done some work with ZOPA. I've been to Ideal Providence from Ghana and a few others. So really, I see just familiar territory here, and I'm really looking forward to us having very good discussions. As it's put, it's a training, but I would want to make it more of a sharing. I know there's a lot of experiences from your side. So we are just basically to excite you, so to speak, into what's coming up. And then we want to find solutions with you. Ultimately, you are the ones to decide what changes you make with respect to the new regulation, but we're here to support you, also sharing experiences from a few other countries. So really looking forward to this session, and yeah, without wasting much time, I think we can already dive in. And I hope, oh gosh, I hope great. I was struggling with my, it showed as if it was frozen, but now it's here. So why are we here? And please let me know in the event for some reason you can't see my screen. We are here to introduce to you the new EU organic regulation and the implications it has for organic producers like yourselves who are exporting to the EU. We want to help you understand what these requirements are and the implications they have for your operations, and ultimately you should be in a better position to make required changes so that you are compliant with any regulation, because that's what it requires of you, to be compliant, and then you can continue with the business as you do it. And the biggest job we have, me and Olawumi, is to share as much information and resources that we have, that we've worked with through this journey, also supporting other trainings and other operators. But also another expectation from our side is that now that you're a group, you're interacting here in this training sessions, we have a WhatsApp group and all other forums that you will also be able to share between yourselves what has worked, what you've tried, what solutions you have for, you know, whatever new requirement is posed. So we expect that collaboration and participation among yourself outside the training environment also to facilitate learning. So from that, at the end of the day, that we shall be all in a better position really to address these requirements. Of course, there are limitations for this training, and we want also to put those really upfront. Like I said, our job is to share as much as we know, to share the resources, to share the information that we know. Your job is to take that information and make it and apply it within your operation. And ultimately, the goal, as you see it on the left-hand side of the screen, is that you can be certified. You know, you can be compliant and certified, so you can continue your business. The EU regulation is complex. That we have to also clearly mention to you. There are certain interpretations that are mostly evolving, and sometimes we have to do a little bit back and forth in terms of interpretation. But ultimately, the final job of interpreting some of these requirements lies with the certification bodies who are responsible to inspect and audit your operations. As we speak now, we don't have any approved certification bodies, but that process is on, and we expect as early as possible, or at latest mid of 2024, to have certifications approved, you know, to inspect and audit according to the EU new regulation. And at that point, they may have certain interpretations of specific requirements, especially some, as we shall see in the training, some of those that are a bit contextual. So they may have their way of interpreting them, and that will be the, you know, that's what will stand, you know, their interpretation, because they are your certifiers. But at this point, we shall give you the standing interpretation of those requirements, which we don't expect certification bodies will deviate so much from. But ultimately, those decisions will happen with them as and when they are conducting the audits with your respective operations. I don't know. Okay, maybe before, and again, I like to break. Like I said, I want it as a conversation as we go. I will pause for at least a minute if anybody has any quick question. I've told you about our objectives, what we expect to get out of this. I've told you the limitations we are working with. So if anybody has any burning question, I don't want to keep it to the end, but also have an opportunity. And please use the chat. Olaumi will be helping me to capture those, and I can address them as we go. But if somebody wants to go off mute, I'll give a 30-second pause for that. Going once. Seems nobody. Okay, let's dig in. So this is the main reason why we're here, is to look at this new EU regulation 2018/848. This is the main regulation, but it has many secondary acts with it that address different aspects. So the main goal, which I'm sure some of you who have looked at it have also seen, is really to strengthen the organic integrity of production, especially of imported products. But one thing, a little, and as we shall discuss in the subsequent slides, we've always had different, you know, the previous regulations always had provisions for equivalence. So, you know, yes, there's the EU regulation, but, you know, there was consideration for other equivalent, you know, regulations that could go with it in terms of implementation. This one is, you know, is compliance. It applies to all operators within the EU and worldwide. It's the same regulation that we all have to comply with. And of course, it will have different impacts, the way it is structured, to different operations across the globe, mostly the smallholder supply chains, as we are going to see. It may not change so much for individual farms that are large enough and they have one certificate, but it's mostly really for small producers. There are quite significant changes in terms of structure, in terms of compliance to this regulation, as we shall see. Like I mentioned, there are many secondary acts that talk about specifics. So we have the main body, which is really the 2018-848, but then we have secondary acts that go with it, that are supposed to detail and explain main components of the main standard. So again, you will see, for example, one around traceability and compliance. You'll see one around documentation. You will see one around recognition of certification bodies, lists of authorized substances. Those are all complementary, but the main regulation that we deal with is the 2018-848. And I think that is very important to clarify, because in some cases when you Google, you may land on different components of this, but in the main body also, these subsequent ones are mainly referenced, and you can always go to them to see what they are saying in terms of details. But the main regulation we are focusing on is the 2018-848, and it's linked on the platform. You can also click and access it. Yes. So like we said, this is new, but not really new, because it started since January of 2022. So we're already in the second year of the regulation. It's not, one would say it's not as new as it should be, but definitely new, because no new certified entities at all as we speak, according to the according to this, at least from the smallholder third country certified according to the new regulation. So started in 2022, and there is a transition period from 2022, as you see on your screen, until 2024. So starting from 1st of January 2025, all operators within the EU and all operators outside the EU but trading with the EU for organic products have to have the new certificate, meaning that we have one more year to comply. And I suspect for all of you, your certification bodies have already mentioned to you that the next inspection, 2024, will be according to the new regulation, because that's the only way you'll have a new certificate that is compliant as of January 2025. So we've had 3 years already, but unfortunately, it's only 1 year now at hand for us to fix everything else that is left so that we can comply. Like I mentioned, all certification bodies also have to get new accreditation according to this new regulation. And as far as I'm aware, not many have had that done. So we expect by mid-2024 to have the certification bodies accredited so they can start the same year, 2024, to inspect according to the new regulation. Again, for most of you, I hope you know that, yes, the certification bodies have to be accredited by the EU. It's really it's the EU delegating their responsibility to these certification bodies so that they can inspect according to the new regulation. So they also have a process of accreditation they have to go through before they can inspect according to this new regulation. So that will happen in 2024, and so they can inspect you in 2024. And the expectation is by 31st December 2024, you'll have a new certificate so you can continue with the business. So let's try to go through some of the main requirements. And this particular one I hinted on as we were in the earlier slide. With the earlier regulations, we always worked with equivalence, meaning that if you can prove that the standard you're working with is equivalent to the EU regulation, you could get certified. And some countries actually have national regulations, organic regulations, that have been approved for equivalence with the EU. And so if you have the certification according to the national regulation, you could export directly into the EU. Tunisia is one of them, and a few more countries were doing that. Under the new regulation, it's all about compliance. There's nothing like equivalence. all operators in third countries, when I say third countries, I mean outside of the EU, need to comply with the same rules as operators within the EU. So that is a big shift, meaning that even for the countries that already have equivalence with the EU under the old regulation, they need to negotiate again, if at all they need to continue under that. I'm not sure that there will be any provision for that, but as the way the regulation is set, it's all about compliance. You have to prove that you are meeting the set requirements under this new regulation for you to be approved. So that's one of the new changes that is really, we need to keep in our mind, that the same requirements, an operator, a producer in Germany of vegetables, meat is what you need to meet if you are producing from Ghana or somewhere. So there's no distinction between third country and within the EU. And then the other main change that, again, I want to raise your awareness at this point is really the whole concept of group certification, which is now defined as group of operators. So in the new standard, when we say operator, it means it's a plantation, it's a processor, it's an exporter. But then when you have many working together, for example, in a cooperative, an association, depending on how you call it, we call the groups of operators. So meaning that different operators, different smallholder farmers are coming together as a group of operators. This definition is rather different from how it's been working, because there are stringent requirements in terms of the size of this group of operators, the maximum acreage that the individual operators have to have in order to be part of a group, and other processes of how the internal control system within this group of operators works. So there are new requirements for all those, and this is going to be mostly for cooperatives that are already existing within, other than the number of members within those cooperatives that are certified and the maximum acreage that is required for individual members to be that, there won't be many other changes. But for outgrower schemes, as we know them, where you have an exporter processor working with a number of farmers, that is going to significantly change, because in the new definition of a group of operators, it has to be run and managed by the operators themselves. And when I talk about the number, we're talking about a maximum of 2,000 members within that group of operators, and a maximum land size of 5 hectares for individual members. So so if those individuals with up to 5 hectares come together and with an establishment, maximum 2,000 members, that is what is considered as a group of operators. So meaning the outgrower schemes we have in some of our countries, or which have been operating under the old regulation, under contract production or whatever arrangement they have, those will not comply with this new requirement. And we are going to discuss more details about that, because I know this is more the sticky point, and I know we have so many in most of our countries. And as a result, there are also other additional requirements in terms of how external inspection or control of these groups of operators will work. There is, like I said, as you see in the illustration, it is same, all producers, all farmers coming together, have an ICS, and then the certification body will come, inspect that ICS, and give a certificate to that ICS. But the inspection, there is a minimum of 5% of the members who has to be re-inspected, meaning that if you are a group of 200 farmers, that means that at least, so 5% for, it will be 10 farmers, literally, that have to be at least, re-inspected for that group. And of course, yeah, it's just a percentage of the total number. whatever 2,000, you take 5%, and then you have the number of farmers that have to be inspected. And then there has to be a sampling every inspection of at least 2% of the farmers each year for testing of any residues. And when we say 2%, the interpretation here is not that you're going to run, for example, if you have 100 farmers that you're going to get, 200, as we said before, that you have 4 farmers that we are going to take samples from, though that we are going to run 4 different tests. No, we can. The interpretation currently that we can use a composite sample. So it means you take from a certain number of farmers, 2% of the total, and then a composite sample you take for testing every year. This is an additional stricter requirement that testing has to be done every year. The question here you may ask, how is the sampling done? It is going to be risk-based, and it will vary from one operation to another, depending on the risks at hand. Again, the findings of the internal inspection, the inspector, the external auditor will decide from which farmers these samples are taken, and how they are treated for the testing of those samples. So, like I said, overall is stricter than before. As we said, it's all about compliance. So the auditor will be reading what is the script, what the regulations say, and what is the implementation. So really more stricter control this time around. But also, as I've talked about, sampling, a minimum number of farmers to be re-inspected, there is a cost implication for that, which definitely will increase for operators, groups of operators or individual operators, because now it is stricter. There is a benchmark we have to work with in terms of sampling or reinspection, and we can't change that because it's rather in the rule. So again, what is, like I said, is a bit more stricter requirements. Where is the focus? It's really about documentation, having those measures that show that you are doing all that is within your means to prevent contamination and commingling of organic products. So really the intention, the procedures, the systems that you set around will weigh a lot in terms of your ability to demonstrate that you are really protecting the organic integrity of the product. So there is a strong focus on that. Traceability is another one, and mass balance checks. Mass balance is in terms of really comparing inputs versus outputs, and rather, seeing that at the end of the day, we are managing loss and any waste that that can come from the process. So it's not all about producing organic, but really are we really balancing and managing loss, so that again we aligned with objectives of organic as we know it. So traceability, having the tracking system, the record keeping, all those are really important, and always balancing, input, for example, for you who are processing, how much input goes in, how much output goes in, and to balance and see that there is a prudence in the way things are managed. Like I said, there is a strong focus on sampling and no residues policy. It's really around, yes, how do we mitigate any risks that come through by testing and checking, where we have risks due to uncomplying farmers, where you have risks due to neighboring operations and things like that. How do we mitigate them in advance so that we can protect the integrity of the organic products, and being able to block, consignments, and conducting proper investigations before products end up on the shelf, farmers to exposing consumers to all these risks. There is also an intention for EU to define some products as high risk, again, based on history and how they've been handled. That is not yet defined as we speak now, but those may have more stringent requirements. For example, if it's defined as a high-risk product, either it's a product type or group, it could be even a group like vegetables, then they may be elements around more intense sampling or requiring more audits for those operations to make sure that they are following those requirements. But that is TBD as we speak now. Another requirement or main change is around, again, more stringent requirements around organic production rules. These don't change so much for most producers, but rather there is more focus on conversion period and especially retroactive recognition of conversion period. It's going to be a little more stricter. You need to provide more evidence that you've been following organic rules before you can be retroactively approved for conversion. And this, for all of you may know, is when, the standard is 3 years, but some people can get a lesser period. So for you to get a lesser period, that there is more stringent requirements around those. Requirements on crop rotation and crop diversity, parallel production, that is gonna be even more stringent for people who are producing both organic and non-organic, how to separate and ensure that there's no commingling or contamination. And then there are new lists of authorized substances, and there are definitely most restrictions on flexibility when it comes to some of the local concoctions that are used in some contexts. But again, that will be determined by the certification body. Yeah, like I said, compliance is the rule rather than equivalence across the board. So again, like I said, this is really to prep you for the detailed training. I've talked about definition of groups to be certified. I've talked about the system of certification, inspection, sampling, and the requirements for rules. I just want to pause again before I go into what we've planned for the training to hear if anybody has any quick questions around these that I can respond to. Allow me anything in the chat?
No, please. There's nothing yet in the chat.
So feel free to raise your hand. I'm sure there are certainly some questions coming up until this stage. So I'll again pause for a minute if anybody has any quick question based on what I've said.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. This is George.
Yes, George.
Just a quick one on the reinspection. In equivalence, we've been working with the square roots, also based on risk as well. So kindly elaborate on that, how it's going to work this time round, the 5% reinspection.
At this point, actually, nothing really to say about this. Just to say that instead of the square root, now this is the rule, 5% of the total number you have. So yeah, and a minimum of 10. Of course, if you have a group that is smaller in number, this is the regulation. There's no negotiation about it at this point. We are using a different formula from what we've been using or what certification bodies have been using previously, from the square root to the 5% requirement. Obviously, this is minimum. Depending on the risks, again, as will be demonstrated by your internal control system, it can be increased to 8, to 10, or whichever, but that is the certification body to determine. But at least 5%.
5%, okay. All right. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions?
There's a question from Gloria. She says that, can you elaborate on the outgrower farmers under contract and group of operators? But note that we have 10 minutes for the session also. So.
Actually, yeah. Let me respond to that, and then we can try to go through. So as I mentioned, sorry, I think this was here. Yes. The new, like I said, the new definition of group of operators, or ICS, as we call them, ICS schemes, internal control system schemes. Only there is a requirement or a regulation around who can be a member of that group of operators. They have to be farmers. I mean, they have to be producers, number one. They have to have a certain acreage of farm, not more than 5 hectares. And then, of course, there is a requirement around the size of that group. So when you come to the outgrower schemes, which we've been operating in many instances, the company, which is kind of the center of this operation, does not fit that description that of an operator. Neither do they produce, neither do they have the acreage you're talking about, and they are not even farmers. So that means that the company, processor or exporter, will have to be certified independently. They will have to get their certificate as a processor and exporter. And then the farmers have to have they are the ones who will constitute this group of operators and have to establish an ICS and will get certified separately. There can be a business relationship between the ICS and the company, trading relationship, meaning they are certified and they can export through or process and export through that entity, but each one will have their own certificate and will be controlled separately. In the early phases, like I always want to put that in the bit, it's not that the regulation is to chase away the companies from these farmers. They can be a lot of cooperation, helping. First of all, for most of these farmers, they will not in a one day become compliant, so they need a lot of help, and so the company can still help them through to establish the ICS, get everything in order through the trainings and all that. But ultimately, the certification will be done for that group of farmers, and the company with the processor or exporter will also have to get their separate certification. I hope that helps,
Okay,
but no pressure. We are going to discuss that. Yeah.
I just want to come in, sorry, Brian, that to participants that we're going to have 3 weeks. At each week, we're going to have different topics. So we can answer everything in this 1 hour. So we are in for a lot of discussion in the 3 weeks of the training. So go on, Brian.
Yeah, so very quickly, and again, I want to leave some time for allowing me to take you through the technical side. And sorry, I wasn't monitoring how much time was flying. So we have 3 weeks, as Olawumi has mentioned, starting 8th January until 26th of January. We shall be meeting Mondays and Fridays, and we've split the training into 3 main parts. So the first part will basically talk about the group of operators, as we've been discussing, and we shall elaborate a bit more, and you'll have room to ask a lot of questions that you want, and we shall have each week we shall have the main presentation, and then we shall have a discussion towards the end of that week. We shall look at the organic production rules in the same way. We shall also look at the ICS requirements in the same way. But maybe one note I need to make here: for the first session happening on 8th January, you also have an opportunity to invite in some of your senior management if they can join, because that is really, because this is mainly the core, and especially if you're running an outgrower scheme, I think it's important for them to understand the implications of this, and also to raise any questions as they may have. But I'm sure you already have this, and a little bit of more detail, like I said, in the first session around group of operators, the definition, as we've said, what are the requirements on farm size, and how do you interpret that in your context, implications for outgrower schemes and comparatives, and where you have some non-complying farmers, how shall you deal with that, if you are to have to seek compliance. We are going to discuss a lot of that during that session. Then for the production rules, we're going to talk a lot about conversion, separation of organic from inorganic if you're working both, including handling and how, you know, clear separation and all that. There are a few things that we need to discuss how to comply in that sense. And then lastly, we shall look at broadly the ICS requirements around maximum number, record keeping, inspections and things like that, so that, you know, we can see, like I said, for us is to highlight what the regulation says. For you is to help us understand what your establishment is and, you know, how it can be adjusted so that it can be compliant. I know we had a session on hearing some questions and expectations, but if you allow, because again, time is not our best friend, I wanted to quickly, and you know, this was really mainly about you introducing yourself, which you've been doing in the chat, and you can continue doing that also on the WhatsApp group, really just to get to know each other. But I wanted to just speak about the survey that we are doing, which is framed as your first assignment, which is really not an assignment in a sense, is we need some information from you. We need to know you a bit more, what your job you do, what the business you're associated with, what your role is, and any interaction you have with farmers, with an ICS, because we want this information in order to tailor our training. If you are, and this is not going to be very hard, if you're already part of you're an ICS manager, you're already part of a production or a entity or operator, but if you're a consultant or a member of a NOAM, our request is that you can at least choose one company or farmer group or ICS that you are most familiar with, so that you can provide us that information and you can use it as part of your training. Again, our goal is to really make this as practical as possible, and the only way we can do it is to use practical examples. So try, as you're responding to this exercise, to think of a case study, and I'm talking a case study, but think of a company or a group that you're most familiar with, so that you can share that information with us, and then we can, and you will be using that same operator, the same example you're giving us for the subsequent assignments that you'll be doing throughout the training. And I'm sure Olaomi will give more instructions how this survey is going to be administered. Olaomi, sorry for taking so much of your remaining time, but here you are.
Thank you so much, Brian. Can you stop sharing your screen, and I'll quickly share my screen. I'll go to the e-learning platform, and I'm going to try to show us what is expected. Firstly, I need to also change. Sorry, 1 minute. Okay. I need to change my role now as a student, because as a trainer, I will see something different, and as a student, I will see other things differently also. So okay, so now I'm a participant like every other person. And so when you log into the e-learning platform, you receive emails about the key for registration, because it's not an open training, it's closed and for certain number of people. So you have to register with the key that has been shared with you. If you have any challenge in registration and going into the e-learning platform, please drop the notification on the WhatsApp and we'll quickly attend to you. So once you log in, you'll see this page which shows the course, and for now, you'll only be opportune to see this welcome to the training. After welcome to the training, you will definitely then see the presentation about COLEAD. Then you can view what COLEAD is and what COLEAD is now, because many used to know COLEAD as COLEAD-ACP. COLEAD-ACP is not longer there, is now COLEAD. So you need to understand why the change, what brought about the change also, and you'll be able to speak as COLEAD now. So also then you'll be able to come to this introduction where my cursor is, introduction, and welcome. That's where you have the assignment for the preparation of the course. Once you click on it, you go in there, you see the training presentation, you click on the overview. So try to click on the overview, you see the course overview, what Brian has explained in the overview for each week. You're going to see it there. Then you download the course program. This gives you the dates and all the necessary activities that you're going to do during each week. Then also we have the introductory resources that you need to look at. There's a PowerPoint there that you can download and then you can read on your own. And then we have the objective, which Brian also shared with you. And then when you have any question and you don't want to share on WhatsApp, you can come here at any point in time and ask any one of us, myself and Brian, you can ask us a question. You can also check on us and communicate via LinkedIn, and WhatsApp is there. You click on it, ask me a question. It would take you directly to our email, and then you can send us a question or anything on the email also. So also we have the entry-level questionnaire. This is very important. It's mandatory for everybody. You have to answer the entry-level questionnaire. And also you have to introduce yourself. It's a forum, you have to introduce yourself. You have to tell us who you are, your expectation about the course. It is important there. Then there are some tutorials for you as a trainer on Zoom, on the module and other things. Some videos are there. Click on it to watch it. There are very few minutes, and then you'll be able to understand what is expected also. For the PowerPoint that was used during this introductory session, you'll find it at this place, PPT introduction session. So you can download it and then you can continue to read more about what Brian has discussed with us today. And then this is where the pre-training survey form is. Once you click on this, it takes you to another page. You have to download this questionnaire on your computer, and then you have to fill it up. Once you fill it up, you come back to the same page, save it with your name or say and your organization, and then you click on add submission. Once you click on add submission, it's going to allow you to upload that document that you have saved on your computer, and then you are going to be able to attach it. You see, it says file submission. You can either drag the file here, or you can either click on this and then it will tell you choose the file. So you go and choose the file while you have saved it, and then you can upload. So since I do not have anything to upload, I will cancel this. So once you do that, we will receive the file. And please note that submission is between now from today till the 2nd of January, so that we are able to prepare very well for this training, which will commence on the 8th of January. As you go through the pre-survey form, if you have any question, you're not clear about any question, feel free to drop those questions either by asking us through this the Moodle platform or on WhatsApp or by email, whatever means, or even private chatting. But we'll request that if it's a question that you think that is going to benefit everybody, please ask the question on the group WhatsApp forum. And subsequently on each Moodle page, you tile for each week, we are going to have a forum where each person, if you have any question, if you have any leading question, you drop the leading question there, and every participant can contribute to that question. That is very important for knowledge sharing. And also, if you have any knowledge about anything, you can help the other participant. And then training resources, other resources that will be shared, the new EU regulation, and all this will be also in the training resources, and subsequent ones for each week will be in the TAL for each week. So this is what I have to share with you. And also for you to receive your certificate, I have shared in the WhatsApp group. It is mandatory that you attend all the live session, the Zoom session, and also to do your assignment, which we call assignment, an assignment, and to submit it on time. Please, also during the assignment on which is you submit on Thursday before Friday. Once you submit the assignment, on Friday, which is the debriefing, you'll be called upon to also share an insight from your assignment. So if you have any further question, you can't log in, or you are supposed to join the session, or you're not the one to join the session, please feel free to send us an email. And if you have any technical question, please feel free to send your technical question to COLEAD, e-learning at COLEAD also. Thank you. And Laura, can we have the final word for you before we call it a day? Thank you.
Yes, I'll make it brief. Thank you, Olawumi and Brian, for this first session. Thank you for all of you for joining us. I hope this session will indeed support you to better understand what does this new regulation implies for you, and how you can adapt your internal control system to maintain your certification and ensure that your product reach the market as organic certified. Yeah. So thank you very much for joining us now. And I think that the rest of the session will be in January, so we can have peaceful holidays, Christmas time with the family, New Year's, and so on, even though there's already some homework to do. Do not forget them.
Exactly. That's very important. Actually, every participant for that homework is compulsory, I would say, because I think it's important to know you. So just to emphasize that.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much
everyone.
for your time. Yeah, thank you for your time. And on this note, we end the session, and we'll continue to connect on WhatsApp and through emails and whatever means that you want to use to connect with us. Feel free at any time to boss us with your questions. Bye for now. See you.
Bye, everyone. Merry Christmas. Bye.
Merry
And Happy New Year.
Christmas. Yes,
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.
Bye bye. Bye bye.